Chapter 6, The Emotion Equation, Why Feelings, Outsmart Facts, the lie that logic tells. For centuries, we were told feelings were the opposite of reason. They're messy, irrational, pink, and preferably left outside serious boardrooms. But here's the twist. Emotion is logic's power supply. Without it, reason just hums quietly in a corner, waiting for instructions. Every spreadsheet you've ever built was driven by a feeling: curiosity, ambition, greed, fear, or the primal urge to prove Todd from accounting wrong. Emotion isn't the enemy of reason. It's the compiler that translates experience into action, the neuroscientist who pulled the plug. In the 1990s, neurologist Antonio Damasio met a patient named Elliot. After surgery removed a tumor from his frontal lobe, Elliot lost the ability to feel emotion, but kept a genius-level IQ. He could analyze any decision from every angle. He just never decided. Lunch, paralysis, investment, paralysis, life, PowerPoint presentations of equal pros and cons. Damasio's conclusion was revolutionary. Emotion isn't noise in decision-making. It's the signal. Reason without feeling is analysis without motive. Like a GPS that knows all routes but refuses to pick one. Why facts need feelings. Facts describe the world. Feelings decide what it means. When your kid brings home a report card, logic reads grades. Emotion reads effort. When your partner says, "We need to talk," logic computes syntax. Emotion computes doom. Meaning isn't in the data. It's in the emotional weight we assign to it. The amygdala, your inner fire alarm. The amygdala is a peanut-sized cluster of neurons that runs the early warning system for your life. It detects threat before your conscious mind catches up. By the time logic asks, "Was that a snake?" you've already jumped, screamed, and invented a new yoga pose. This speed saved your ancestors. It also explains why you panic over unread emails. Evolution never updated the firmware. It just rebranded tigers as inboxes. The emotional math of pain and pleasure. Emotion does algebra with weighted variables. Outcome, chicas, reward x desire, fear x likelihood of embarrassment. That's why public speaking ranks higher than death on fear surveys. It's not mortality, it's humiliation math. Logic sees low risk. Emotion multiplies it by audience size. Our internal calculator isn't wrong. It's just using a currency called dignity, the caffeine model of feelings. Think of emotion like caffeine. A little improves focus. Too much produces chaos and dance remixes of regret. Mild anxiety fuels preparation. Excess anxiety fuels Amazon purchases of relaxation crystals. Optimal emotion is balance, not absence. The Newton's laws of emotion. 1. For every emotion, there's an equal and opposite overreaction. 2. Emotions in motion stay in motion until reason intervenes. 3. To every stimulus, we assign a story. These laws explain road rage, Twitter, and why you still think about that one argument from 2014. The data of disgust. Disgust evolved to protect us from rotten food. Now it protects us from people who chew weird. It shapes morality more than philosophy ever did. Psychologists found conservatives tend to have stronger disgust reactions than liberals. Liberals tend to be disgusted by intolerance. Everyone's grossed out, just by different flavors of wrong. Disgust is emotion's moral highlighter. Logic just writes the footnotes, the algorithm of love. Love isn't blind. It's algorithmically biased. Oxytocin boosts trust. Dopamine rewards attention. Serotonin stabilizes mood. Together, They make you believe your partner's quirks are adorable instead of possible grounds for eviction. Logic says, statistically, half of marriages end. Emotion says, yeah, but not ours. Probability sighs quietly in the corner. Fear, the CEO of your brain. Fear runs the company. Every department reports to it. Finance, romance, even imagination. It's not evil. It's just overzealous about quarterly survival goals. It overinterprets shadows, misreads silence, and sees rejection in punctuation. Fear is emotion's project manager with an espresso problem. Joy and the ROI of risk. Joy is expensive because it requires vulnerability, the willingness to risk pain. Logic hates that investment. Emotion buys in every time. Every leap of faith, starting a business, falling in love, having a child, is a bad deal statistically, but a perfect one emotionally. Joy is irrational ROI, and that's what makes it divine. Anger, the fuel and the flame. Anger is information. A boundary was crossed. Used well, it powers revolutions. Used poorly, it powers comment sections. Logic wants to address the issue. Emotion wants to throw the router. Wisdom schedules a walk first. Sadness, the system update. Sadness slows you down so you can process loss. It's emotional defrag. Painful, necessary, healing. We try to patch it with distractions, but grief doesn't vanish. It cues itself until you stop scrolling. Logic asks for closure. Emotion asks for acknowledgement. You can't analyze your way out of sorrow. You can only feel through it. Guilt and shame, the accountants of morality. Guilt says, you did a bad thing. Shame says, you are a bad thing. Logic calls both useful feedback. Emotion calls them existential quicksand. The trick is converting guilt into course correction before shame writes your autobiography. The emotional internet. Your brain's emotional network runs faster than logic's fiber. Every signal pings limbic servers before hitting the prefrontal firewall. By the time you compose a rational email, your emotions have already sent 3 impulsive texts and a meme. Reason doesn't control emotion. It moderates bandwidth. The myth of emotional control. People say, control your emotions. That's like telling a volcano to meditate. The goal isn't suppression, it's translation. Emotion speaks volume. Logic speaks syntax. Control means turning shouting into sentences. The feedback loop. Emotion influences logic. Logic reframes emotion. Rinse. Repeat. You feel anxious? Think catastrophic thoughts. Feel more anxious. That's the doom loop. But the same loop works upward. Gratitude, hopeful thoughts, calmer emotion. Emotion and logic share a thermostat. You just forget who adjusted it last. Marketing, the industrial exploitation of emotion. Every advertisement is a psychology thesis titled, How to Bypass the Prefrontal Cortex. They don't sell products, they sell feelings. Beer equals belonging. Cars equal power. Toothpaste equals love that smells minty. Facts don't move money, feelings do. You don't buy a sports car for speed. You buy it for the emotional probability of being admired at stoplights. The moral math of empathy. Empathy isn't soft, it's computation. Your brain runs millions of simulations of other people's pain to prevent conflict. It's emotional crowd control. When empathy fails, logic fills the void with policy memos. That's how institutions end up explaining suffering with flowcharts. The emotional economy. Modern capitalism monetized emotion. Likes, hearts, shares. Attention became currency. Outrage became inflation. Your feelings are the product now, refined into data, packaged into ads. Emotion once guided survival. Now it fuels engagement. The algorithm doesn't care what you feel, only that you do. It's emotional capitalism, and we're all freelance dopamine miners. Emotional intelligence, the missing math class. Schools teach trigonometry, but not self-regulation. You'll die never needing to calculate a cosine, but you'll definitely need to identify why you're yelling at customer service. Emotional intelligence, EQ, is the algorithm upgrade that keeps logic from rage quitting. It's not about being nice, it's about being effective. IQ builds rockets. EQ decides where to aim them. Why emotion wins in court. In every jury trial, lawyers know logic loses to narrative. Facts persuade minds, stories persuade juries. That's why courtroom dramas end with tears, not spreadsheets. Emotion bypasses skepticism. It turns evidence into empathy. We don't vote for policies. We vote for feelings about policies. The nonlinear equation of emotion. Emotion isn't proportional. A 1% insult can produce 99% fury. A tiny compliment can power you for days. This nonlinear math makes humanity unpredictable and art possible. If we responded rationally, no poems would exist, just bullet points about serotonin. The art of emotional timing. Emotion has the worst sense of timing. You laugh at funerals, cry at commercials, and remember your ex during tax season. That's because feelings obey context, not calendars. Logic sets deadlines. Emotion sets reminders that never expire. The antidote to emotional manipulation. 1. Name the feeling. You can't fight a fog. 2. Ask who benefits from you feeling it. 3. Take a breath longer than a tweet. 4. Do something physical. Emotion is stored motion. Awareness doesn't erase emotion. It vaccinates logic against hijack. Emotion as wisdom. Ancient philosophers knew feelings were data. Aristotle called emotion reasoned desire. The Stoics didn't kill emotion, they disciplined it. Buddhists observe it like weather. Real, temporary, informative. Emotion isn't the enemy of enlightenment. It's the compass pointing toward meaning. The empathic revolution. Imagine workplaces that measure empathy like productivity. Imagine governments testing policies on well-being, not GDP. Imagine technology designed to soothe, not provoke. That's not utopian, it's statistical. Humans cooperate longer when they feel seen. Empathy scales efficiency better than fear ever did. When logic finally says sorry. Picture logic and emotion at couples therapy. Logic adjusts its glasses. I just wish you'd be more rational. Emotion crosses its arms. I wish you'd stop treating me like a bug report. The therapist smiles. You realize you're married, right? Progress begins when logic admits it feels superior, and emotion admits it likes structure. It's the weirdest love story ever written, and it runs in every human brain. The final equation, wisdom asas logic, X emotion, X humility. Logic calculates, emotion motivates, humility calibrates. Without all three, you get arrogance in a lab coat or chaos with good intentions. Closing reflection, the beautiful imbalance. Feelings will always outsmart facts because they evolved first. They speak older languages, touch, tone, silence. Logic interprets, but emotion understands. We don't remember data, we remember how it felt. Every invention, movement, or love story began as an emotional hunch dressed later in rational clothing. That's the human formula, heart, head, history. Teaser for Chapter 7. Next up, the rational delusion, why smart people believe stupid things. We'll examine how intelligence amplifies bias, how reason becomes self-flattering propaganda, and why every genius eventually invents their own nonsense. Spoiler: logic writes beautiful fiction when ego edits the draft. End of Chapter 6.